Just getting started. Let's see what's going on. Let's see. Okay. Just getting our streams up and running. Give me just a moment here and we will get going. Welcome, welcome. Just give me a moment or two. We're just getting our streams going here. If you're just joining us, we're just getting started. Welcome, welcome. What is today? Today is Wednesday, Hump Day. So if you're joining us, yay, it's Hump Day. Okay, we are streaming on multiple platforms. We are streaming on YouTube, long and shorts. We're streaming on X and we're also streaming on TikTok. So welcome everybody. I can see your chats from all the different platforms. So if you have questions or comments, by all means, just drop them into chat on whatever platform you're on, and we'll be happy to try to answer your questions. Again, just getting started here, so give me a moment. Yes, TikTok says it can't hear any sound. Can't hear any sound because I wasn't speaking. Okay, let's see. What do we got going on? So welcome to the stream. Give me one more second here. I'm gonna try to get some other things going. A little patience. And we're gonna be talking about whether you're an elk or you're a zebra. And if you're employed, that's a question that you need to be asking yourself as of today. So give me just 1 second here. Welcome, welcome. If you're on any of the platforms, again, we're streaming on multiple platforms. YouTube, TikTok, X, all at the same time. If you have questions, comments, drop them into chat and I'm happy to try to answer. So Harper, hey, hola, hi. I will like for you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. If you have questions or comments, drop them and we can chat about them. So we're going to be talking about whether you are a elk or a zebra. And if you don't know what that means, I'm going to explain it to you. And we can dive in, and if you also have questions, I'm happy to answer them regarding technology or AI and really how it's going to affect your job and any concerns you might have around it. So give me just 1 second here. I'm just getting other things going. Okay. Sorry for the delay. Okay. So it looks like we've got a few people already on YouTube and some people on X and some people starting to come in on TikTok. So again, let me introduce myself as we get started here. My name is Joe. I am a solutions consultant. Basically what that means is I devise solutions for typically large companies, governments, small, medium sized, etc. Been doing that for nearly 30 years. It's kind of a fancy word or fancy couple words really, for being a consultant, a technology consultant. Worked in enterprise software for nearly the 30 years. Key thing is, though, and the reason that I'm wanting to talk to you as well as just put more stuff out on social media, is I see an epic change happening here in society and our workforce, all related to, of course, AI. Now, I have been fortunate enough to be able to weather a lot of storms over the last 30 years, such as the dot-com bust, the financial crisis, the outsourcing, the return to onshoring, and then also to now the AI era that's rolled in with us. For me, I have managed to kind of weather these storms because I knew the importance of putting myself outside of my comfort zone. If you are currently employed and you're very comfortable in your position and you're experiencing it, bye Harper, thanks for stopping in, and you are comfortable with that position, comfort is not necessarily your friend in today's world. And I'm going to explain to you the why behind that in a moment. Sorry, I'm just adjusting some of my equipment here. Too many things to manage all at the same time. So why is being comfortable basically a problem in today's world? So if you enjoy my little graphic there, my little meme going on with the elk and the zebra in the middle there, and you can see the text down there. The elk represents pretty much everybody else at your company, and the zebra represents hopefully you. At least it does for me. Now, what does that mean? It basically means up until really the last year or so, year and a half, the philosophy generally was you didn't want to stand out at work, right? Standing out at work for a lot of people meant they were going to get extra work or extra responsibilities that they typically didn't want, right? They wanted to go in, do their 9-to-5 job, collect their paycheck, and really try to keep a low profile. And even people who may have thought they had your best interest at heart, your family, friends, mentors, things of this nature, maybe that's the advice they gave you, right? Keep your head down, do your job, don't make waves, don't stand out, and if you're lucky enough, you'll have a nice long career and be able to, enjoy your weekends off and potentially retire at some point in time, and that's what life's about. Well, unfortunately, we have entered into an era that honestly I don't think anybody was expecting. And when I say anybody, I am talking about even the people who are involved with AI, and those are the Sam Altmans of the world, and there's many others that are in that same position with other AI companies. But they didn't really expect, even themselves, and if you go and you listen to some of their interviews, they will admit this. They didn't realize or anticipate really the advancement, the major advancement. Hello, Mr. Who. Welcome to the stream. So because of that, there have been rapid changes. And again, I've worked in the technology field now for nearly 30 years. I am very familiar with technology and software, how it works. I've done everything from programming to implementations. As I mentioned, worked with many large clients, large public companies, federal government, state governments, local governments, all sorts of things. It's been a long career, and I'm very grateful for it. But I've never seen an advancement in technology like we are seeing with AI. Now, there's two people basically in the world at this point in time when it comes to AI. Those who think that it's a fad, right? It's going to go to the way. It's going to go to the way of pet rocks, or it's going to go to the way of mood rings, if you're old enough to remember those two things, right? So in that essence, there is also the other people who think that AI is going to be the doom of us, and then there's folks who are in the middle. So let's see, we got a question coming in. It says, "What's your opinion on AI? I have mixed feelings myself. I believe we were made in God's image. With an AI, feel like we are making something that's not even in our own image." So that's a really interesting statement, and I won't go down any religious paths or political paths, because this is definitely not a channel for that. But what I will say is this, is that the interesting thing about your statement is that actually everything that an AI knows as a foundation, which is how you train a model, is all based on our experiences, our knowledge that we have put out into the world. So basically, the information that we've put out into the world, whether it's through publishing stuff online, or I'm sorry, it looks like we got a little connection problem. So like everything that's been published in the world has been basically being consumed by these LLMs, by these AI models. So to a large extent, they are us. Now, I don't believe that they are sentient, if you will, and that's not what I'm suggesting. But what I am suggesting is that the advancements in terms of their ability to synthesize information and to reason now with little to no hallucinations, and especially when it comes to objective disciplines, right? And what's an objective discipline? So things like coding, right? These are objective disciplines. The model either codes in such a way that the result works or it doesn't. So it's a very objective standard, if you will. It's not subjective, right? Like something more creative, whether it's videos or whether it's videos or images or writing a book or something of this nature. So things are changing very, very fast, but that's why if you are fortunate to be employed still, and at the moment, at least in the United States, our unemployment level is still relatively low at about, I think the last number that came out today was 4.3% unemployment, then you need to take some steps to stay employed, okay? If you're interested, right? If you're interested in staying in your job and staying employed, then you need to take some steps. And those who don't take steps proactively are going to find themselves on the outs. I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's the way corporate America is. And again, if you're listening in other countries, generally speaking, corporations at the bottom line, they're concerned about the most primary thing, and that is shareholder value. And that's really what their main focus is shareholder value. So because of that, they will do whatever they need to do in order to maximize shareholder value, and that means cutting expenses and increasing revenue. And cutting expenses is a nice way of putting, layoffs basically is what it boils down to. So the bottom line is, my whole point here in terms of elk or zebra, it actually comes from kind of a dating mindset from many years ago. That basically was, okay, who are you going to spot at a club, right? Who are you going to spot and approach at a club, as an example, if you're in the dating world, right? Are you going to look for that, are you going to look, among all the elks, in other words, everybody who's blending in, or are you going to be drawn to that zebra, the one who stands out? So again, in the work world, an employment world with AI, this is what you want to do. You want to stand out. And how do you stand out? Well, there's a variety of ways you can do so. And I'm happy to talk specifically about anybody's situation, and we can try to explore and dive into maybe some ways you can personally stand out. But what I can tell you and share with you in terms of what I have done, I've started more than 2 years ago of diving deep into the AI world and understanding what it was and what it was not and what it could do for me. And then I began to share that information within my own company, the company that I work for. And in doing so, I became kind of the de facto expert in our group, which made me what? Made me the zebra, made me stand out. In addition to that, the company, which is a large Canadian-based company, public company, they are actively pursuing, AI as a strategy, not only as implementation in terms of their products, but also implementing it for the benefit of the employees to be more productive. Because at the end of the day, you only make more money, or your company only becomes more valuable, if you will, in one of two ways. Either A, the top line, called the revenue or the sales, either increases, or your expenses decrease. If you do either one of those things, if you own a business or if you're a large public company, well, then the value of that company goes up. Okay? It's a simple math formula. It's about as simple as you can get, really, if you've had business classes. So my whole point being is that you want to stay in the forefront. You don't want to try to hide, because hiding is going to put you in the scenario of being these elks. And guess what happens to those elks? Well, they disappear, right? They disappear in the mass layoffs, okay? Or they disappear in the 90% reduction cut of the group perhaps that you work in. So this is what you need to do and what you want to do. And I'm happy to, again, have a conversation with anybody and see if we can figure out what is the best approach, and perhaps something that we can figure out that you can do as early as starting tomorrow if you're going back to work. Okay? So if you got questions, comments, drop them into chat. Again, I can see everybody's chat across the platforms. Now, I will say that just keep in mind, this is streaming, and so since we are streaming, we do have a little bit of a delay. So you may drop your chat. I think those chats come through in near real time, but my response, because it's streaming, may be delayed, I think maybe up to 10 seconds or so. So don't think that I am not responding. It just may take a little while to actually stream back to you so you can hear my response from an audio perspective. Okay? So that's the concept. Elk or zebra? Which are you today? Drop a comment, let me know. And if you want to transition, ideally to a zebra, because you don't want to be an elk, let me know. And we can perhaps explore what your current situation is, and I can give you some ideas of steps you could potentially take. Now, for me, one of the things that I've done over the last 2 years is to start pulling in some of my other skills that were not necessarily specific to the type of job that I do, because, again, I work in enterprise software. But I decided to use what basically AI was giving me the advantage of using to leverage some skills that I had in addition to my technology background. And that really, for me, was also my creative background, creating content. At one point in time, having a small digital ad agency, doing digital marketing for small local businesses in my area. Learned a lot, but it also gave me a very fulfilling experience, because I do love creative work, and being able to combine that with a business was definitely fulfilling. So I would say that that is just a simple example where I was able to pull in additional skills that weren't necessarily part of my job description, but I was able to pull them in and utilize them in my day-to-day activities to, again, make myself stand out. And that is what it is all about. So if you have questions, comments, drop them in. I'm happy to have a conversation. So the question is, right? Are you a zebra or are you an elk? Which one do you think you are? Don't be shy. Let me know. So I can see the aggregated chats here. Again, we're streaming on multiple platforms, so I can see the aggregated chats. So I see there's a couple zebras out there. We also have a few people who admit to being elks. So if you want some insight on things you can do at work to become that zebra, I'm happy to give you some advice. Just drop it in the comments at minimum, what you do, what kind of role you have, and I'll try to give you some insight. Now, here's the thing that a lot of people don't really understand is they keep hearing about AI, right? And they think that, like this conversation that we're having, is only relevant to those working within the technology field, right? Software or some other area of technology or tech. And that's far from the case. In fact, IBM, who I'm sure most of you are familiar with, they are starting to release various trainings to try to help the general public prepare for, again, what they see coming from an AI wave of over our workforce, basically, that's going to have a significant impact and change how we do things day to day at our jobs. One of the reasons they've done that is because they see what's coming, and as a technology company, they are trying to be altruistic and try to provide some free training and free education. But one of the statements they recently made was that this is not a tech worker versus a non-tech worker. This is going to affect all roles and responsibilities within a company. And one of the more interesting things that they stated was, and I agree, that people within their employment are going to become much less task doers. So that's task doers, and much more task managers. So where you're overseeing various AI agents performing tasks, and then you are what we refer to as the human in the loop, where you are doing some checks and balance of the processes that the agentic agents are performing on a regular basis. Okay, so that's a very interesting concept. I think it's very real. We are already seeing that occur in some places. So regardless of whether you are doing marketing, accounting, finance, general managerial work, other types of operations, or you're working within the technology groups, this is going to affect you. And if you don't prepare for it now, then you are unfortunately going to be caught very behind the curve, if you will. So, and I'm not here to try to scare anybody. It's just the reality. And on the contrary, I'm really trying to have conversations with people to prepare them and to try to give them some insight on what they can do now to shore up their current opportunity that they may have in terms of employment versus waiting until it's too late and you find yourself unemployed with many other people all trying to scramble to get another job. So it's much easier to keep your job than it is to go get a new job, and that has always been the case. It's also much easier to get a new job if you currently have a job. That's also been the case. So if you have questions, comments, drop them in. We will chat about it. Again, I can see chats pretty much across all the platforms, streaming on TikTok, and YouTube, as well as X. Again, my name is Joe. Are you an elk or are you a zebra? What's the difference? Well, if you can see the meme, the elks, those are the ones that you know who are refusing to use AI, understand AI, make a little effort to improve their productivity using AI. And then you've got the zebras. And those zebras, they're the ones who are making the effort. And trust me, your management is fully aware of who is doing what. And when the tough calls come in terms of layoffs, they will be keeping the zebras and getting rid of the elks. Sad, but true. So if I can help you out at all, try to give you some insight with your current job to become the zebra at that job versus the elk, then drop a comment. Let me know a little bit about yourself, and I will try to give you some real-time feedback and perhaps some feedback that you can take away and implement as early as tomorrow. So the numbers came out today. The economic numbers were at an unemployment of 4.3% in the United States. And new jobs created, those are down, I believe, year over year, which is not surprising. They also announced 108,000 expected layoffs. That was announced in January by various companies. So, significant number of layoffs that will be coming over the next few months as they get implemented. So, you get questions, comments, drop them into chat, and I will do my best to answer them for you. Are you a zebra or are you an elk? Do you want to be a zebra? Or you're like, nah, I'll just stay an elk till I get laid off, and then I'll worry about it afterwards. Let me know. Drop a comment. We can have a talk. We can have a discussion. See if we can figure out a way for you to become a zebra in your current job. What are you? An elk or a zebra? So the elk and zebra kind of analogy. It dates way back. Dates way back to dating days, my dating days, but other dating days. It was a common analogy, at least when I was young and single. And the question always was asked, who are you going to ask out at a party or a club or a bar? Are you going to ask out one of the elks, or are you going to ask out the zebra, the person who stands out, right? And so the whole idea was that if you're really interested in meeting new people, you needed to stand out. Well, in today's world, if you are employed and you want to stay employed, you need to become a zebra. You need to stand out. You need to show your employer and your boss why it is that you deserve to stick around if they do layoffs. So, comments, questions, drop them in chat. Let's talk about it, and let me know if you think you're a zebra or a elk. I don't think we are streaming on TikTok. Give me 1 second. Welcome, welcome on YouTube. Are you an elk or are you a zebra? Drop it in chat. Let me know. I think I'm going to reconnect to TikTok because I don't think we are live. Okay, we're streaming again on TikTok. I think we had a little connection problem. So if you're out there on TikTok, drop something in chat. Let me know that you can see the live. So again, my name is Joe. I work in enterprise software. Been doing that for nearly 30 years. And right now, the whole thing is that you need to decide whether you are going to be an elk or a zebra in your current role, right? So if you're currently employed, you need to decide, are you going to be an elk or are you going to be a zebra? And what does that mean, right? What does that mean? That means either you're going to stand out or you're going to blend in. And if you choose to blend in, then don't be surprised when layoffs are announced, you're included in the layoffs, okay? If you, on the other hand, are a zebra, you're going to have a much better chance to be the exception and not the rule when it comes to large layoffs or mass layoffs. It's just really that simple. Companies are looking to keep on those who are embracing AI, who are willing to learn it, who are willing to increase their productivity through the use of AI. Okay, this is some of the key things. Why is my TikTok disconnecting? See, I don't know if we're connected on TikTok or not. If anybody on TikTok watching the live, drop a little hello in chat, smiley, hearts, anything you'd like. Let us know that we're still live on TikTok. Again, the whole point being is that you need to make that decision. You're either going to stand out or you're going to blend in. And that's what the analogy is all about. You're either a zebra or you are an elk. So if you think you're an elk and you want to become a zebra, drop something in chat. Let me know who you are, or at least what kind of role you have at work. And I'll ask some questions and we can see if we can't get you a game plan of how you can potentially stand out and be that zebra. It is honestly not that difficult, but the key thing is you have to be willing to get out of your comfort zone. And unfortunately, so many of us at work prefer to stay in that comfort zone and not stand out too much. Just want to do our day-to-day jobs and collect our checks, and that's it. Well, I think those days are over. So you need to embrace that. Need to understand that it's something that's going to impact you because it's going to impact us all, and you need to start preparing to be that zebra. And let's talk about it. Let's figure out if we can figure out a game plan for you to become that zebra. It's honestly not that hard. I started traveling down this road myself a couple of years ago, and I did so in a variety of different ways. I can share those with you so you can have a better idea. But basically, it's just a matter of being willing to put yourself out there a little bit. Okay. It's also being willing to spend some time either on the job or off the job, educating yourself a bit on AI. And we're not talking about building models or deploying solutions, although if that's something you're interested in, that's great. But what we are looking for and what companies are going to be looking for is they're going to be looking for people who have AI literacy. They understand how to use a large language model. They understand how to problem solve, right? These are going to be the key elements. That is what will make you a zebra and stand out instead of being a elk. It's really that simple. Again, if you give me some ideas of who you are and the roles you have, I know we can come up with some very simple game plans to start with that you can potentially implement within the next couple days at work and start standing out. And the sooner you do so, the sooner you're going to find that you will get recognition and that you previously probably didn't receive. But more importantly, you're going to be thought of differently by management and your coworkers. And then you'll become the zebra. And when you become the zebra, you will have a bit of more comfort with your job. So if you got questions, comments, drop them in chat and let's talk about it. So, who's out there that's a zebra? Let me know. Let's talk about what you are actually doing and what you've done to become that zebra. Because I know there's got to be more than one in this room. Welcome, welcome. So we're talking about elks versus zebras. Which one are you? An elk blends in. A zebra stands out. In today's world, you need to stand out, especially when it comes to AI. If you don't stand out in today's world, you're going to find yourself potentially getting caught up in a layoff, whether it's a mass layoff or a targeted layoff. But especially if it's a targeted layoff, because targeted layoff means your management has decisions that they're going to have to make. Okay. So if you are a zebra standing out because you have embraced AI and you have increased your productivity and you are sharing that knowledge as well with your coworkers, I guarantee you they're going to be far less likely to lay you off versus your coworker who has not embraced AI or made any effort to truly utilize it. Okay? So these are the key things that we are talking about. It's the difference between being an elk or being a zebra. Again, this analogy goes back in time quite far, originally used kind of in the dating world. Similar concept. But the bottom line, I mean, you could even, well, that's a bad analogy. I was going to talk about squeaky wheels, but I think that's actually a bad analogy. So the zebra versus the elks are far better. So what are you, an elk or a zebra? What do you want to be? Drop it in chat. Let me know. So I can see chats from all the different platforms. We are streaming on multiple platforms at the moment. If you have questions, comments, definitely drop them into chat, and I'm happy to answer your questions. If you have general AI questions, I can answer those as well for you. And the response, just know that it'll be a little delayed because of the stream. So if you drop your chat in there, it might take me about 10 seconds to be able to, for you to hear my response, basically, is what it boils down to, because the streams are delayed. So, are you a zebra or are you an elk? Which is it? Let me know. Let me know. If you're enjoying my little meme at the bottom there, of course I used AI to create it, which is pretty mind-blowing. You know, the quality these days, what you can do. And here's the funny thing, and this should be, this should be a warning, if you will. If you look at that meme, okay, and you see the text in there and how it's put together, okay, I can tell you, if we go back 6 months, 7 months, maybe 8 months, it was very difficult, very, very difficult to create an image like that with the text being accurately rendered. Okay, it would take many different prompts and some workarounds, and you'd go back and forth, and sometimes it would never get it right, which was odd. I found it very odd, and again, I'm a technology person, but I found it quite odd because I thought to myself, okay, if the large language models are trained, in billions and billions of words, text, why are they struggling to simply take the text that I'm giving it and put it on an image as a label? I found that very, very odd and strange. But now we're here at 6 months later, and most of the models can do this without any issues. Can do it quickly, can do it accurately, and of course here we've got a combination of an image and the video with that text, and you get the angle, which is what I gave it as a prompt. I wanted a high angle and a zoom in on the zebra there, right? So all that was done with AI, of course, and yeah, pretty amazing that you can do it on your phone, or you can be at your desk or sitting on your couch, and the way things are right now is if you're creative enough, you can create an entire feature-length film sitting on your couch, basically, which is just insane when you think about it. But the world has changed dramatically. Got any creatives out there that enjoy creating content, videos, photography? Drop a comment, let me know. Happy to have any general AI discussions if you have questions. Questions, comments on AI, feel free to drop them in chat. Welcome, welcome. Otherwise, we're talking about why you should become a zebra if you're not. And what's the difference between zebras and elks in the workplace? Well, the elks are going to get wiped out. The zebras, they're going to stick around for longer, maybe for the duration, meaning till retirement, or maybe just a bit longer than the elks. It's really hard to tell. But the interesting thing about AI is that the day that it runs completely on its own, that I think is pretty far off in terms of just it configuring itself, it managing itself, and it's running itself, right? So people with AI literacy in various roles that they currently have in an organization, whether it's accounting, finance, marketing, etc., what's going to happen is they're going to transition into like pseudo managers. Okay, so but instead of managing people, they're going to be managing agentic agents or AI agents. So agentic is kind of a terminology that encompasses AI agents, and agents is a term in the AI world that basically means that the model itself can do something. So when you connect the brain, which in essence is an LLM, large language model, when you connect that up to something that can do something, an agent, okay? An agent could write an email and send it. It could make a phone call, or it could start a process if it's a large company, maybe start a software process, or fill out troubleshooting tickets, things of this nature. All those things are agents. Going to browse the web to get some information, or going to the web and filling out a form for a reservation because the boss needs to travel. Again, that would be an agent, and that would be an agentic process. So at the end of the day, that is where we're going to go. But The ideal world will be one in which you're going to have kind of your AI managers, and they're not going to be managing AI as we think about it in terms of like uh, OpenAI and things of this nature. They're going to be managing the agentic workforce, basically, is what it's going to boil down to. So it's a pretty interesting concept. The sooner you begin to understand it, the sooner you begin to embrace it, the better off you're going to be. And that's what it means to become a zebra among elks so that you can get ahead of the herd, basically. So if you have questions, comments, drop them in. Okay. Welcome, welcome. So my name's Joe. Go by Solutions Joe. Ask Joe. So you can ask me anything you like regarding AI, technology, jobs, career advice. I've dabbled in a lot of other businesses over my life as well, but primary job has been technology, enterprise software for nearly 30 years. As a consultant, got questions on that, feel free to ask. I'm happy to talk about those as well. Otherwise, the main focus really is trying to help people understand what is the difference between an elk and a zebra. Now, of course, this is an analogy. We're not talking about real zebras or real elks, but trying to understand, how do you stand out at work? How do you try to avoid the mass layoffs that are coming due to AI? These are things that we can talk about, and I've got definitely some game plans in mind that if you share with me some of your specific details, I can potentially help you. So you got questions, comments, drop them in. Let's chat about them. Don't be shy. And we are streaming on TikTok. We are streaming on X, and we are streaming on YouTube. So we got a lot of streams going on. So wherever platform you're on, feel free to drop a comment or chat, or question, I should say, in chat. Comment or question in chat, and I will do my best to address it for you. I should see it regardless of what platform that you're on. And just know that my response will be probably delayed about 10 seconds because we are live streaming. So you got questions, comments, drop them in. Let's chat. Again, my name is Joe. Welcome to the show. You got questions, comments, drop them into chat there. I should be able to see them no matter what platform you're on. So what we're talking about is how do you stay relevant? How do you stay relevant in the AI era, right? And if you are currently employed and you want to keep that job, well, I've got some ideas for you. Some ideas that I've been implementing myself for nearly 2 years. And I can help you with a game plan if you don't have one. Again, my name's Joe. Been working in enterprise software for nearly 30 years as a solutions architect. Fancy word for consultant. So I think I can probably give you some guidance on how to stay relevant. And IBM just recently had a presentation that they did. It was kind of interesting, and they were talking about the fact that AI is going to affect every single role you can imagine at any large corporation. It's not going to be limited to just technology. It's getting certainly the most traction when it comes to technology like development, software engineering, things of this nature, customer support areas and things like that. But it will be affecting all roles. So do not think you are safe from the impact of AI. Understand that one of the things your employer would love to see is more AI literacy. But here's the interesting thing about that statement, and give me just a sec. I'm back. So here's the interesting thing about that statement is that even though your employer, and I'm talking about large employers, multi-billion-dollar companies, are looking to you for AI literacy, okay, they're not actually sure what that means or what that looks like, okay, and so a lot of what they're kind of either hoping for or what I'm kind of seeing is they're putting the onus onto the individual employees to kind of figure out how they can leverage AI in their day-to-day work, okay? And then share that information kind of back to the larger group. So that's an interesting turn of events if you think about it in terms of corporate America and just corporations in general, where management is looking to you to tell them what you're doing, how you're doing it, and kind of describing your own role, if you will, right? So that's the really interesting thought. You got questions, comments, drop them in. Let's chat about them. Again, my name's Joe. Enterprise software is the industry I've been working in for nearly 30 years as a solutions architect So basically a fancy consultant for nearly 30 years. You got questions, comments? Let's see if I can help you out. Sorry, had a little dust on my glasses. So if you got questions, comments, drop them. Let's chat about them. The bottom line is this: if you want to keep your job, you're going to need to become AI literate. And how do you do that? Well, there's different ways you can do it, but the key thing is that you first need to embrace it. So you first need to embrace it, and then you need to share it with your group at work. So if you have questions, comments, drop them in. Let's chat about it. Welcome, welcome on TikTok. We're streaming on YouTube, X, and TikTok. You have questions, comments, drop them in chat. I can see them across the platforms. My audio is probably delayed about 10 seconds, so if you don't hear my response right away, I'm not ignoring you.